Hello everyone, welcome to Postnukerp Roleplay. I'm Crazy Kid. I'm going to be teaching you about this game. Okay, for people that are new, you would want to press F1. F1 will help you learn about the entire game, about in-game commands, classes, communities, gathering resources, ownership, inventory, building or shop, player health or death, player endurance or hunger, or player tools. The first thing we're going to learn about is gathering resources. Gathering is done by using your hands and holding the mouse 1 button while looking at the resource. Resources are scattered throughout the map. To trade resources, press Tab and select the Trade menu button. The players must be within range to trade. There are 3 types. Scrap, which comes in trash bags, piles, metal, small parts, which comes in metal, small part looking items and other things, and chemicals, which also come in bottles like trash and other props. So let's go ahead and close out of this menu, and we're going to get an example on how to scavenge. Alright, looks like we both found some materials. This would be chemicals. As we keep clicking on mouse 1, you can hear that we're getting more materials. Also, you can see that my chemicals are going up. Make sure that you keep clicking and you keep gathering more. Looks like we found some scrap. As you can see, since I'm scavenger now, I'm scavenging much faster. Looks like we found some small parts. Go ahead and scavenge those too. Next part of this tutorial is how to use your menus. In order to access your menu, you need to press Tab. When you press Tab, you get a list of each individual player. So you see me, and there's another guy. There are 5 menus. We have first the class menu. The class menu is where you can change your class. You can change it to Wastelander, Scavenger, Scientist, Engineer, or Cultivator. Then we have the shop menu. The shop menu is where you can purchase anything that's for sale. Each thing has a required class for creation, and if you're not that specific class, you can't create the item unless you change your class. The third menu is the inventory menu, kind of like the shop menu. It just shows you what you have in your inventory. You can access this more easily by pressing F3. Your inventory holds the same tabs. You can scroll through and see your supplies, your food, your anything. The fourth menu is the trade menu. You can trade materials with somebody if they're nearby. The fifth menu is the equipment menu. And in order to access the equipment menu, you can type drop ammo / drop ammo, and this will appear. It'll give you a list of all of your equipped ammunition, all of your equipped guns, and you can drop these with this menu. Okay, now we have gotten all 3 types of material. Soon enough, your hunger will start to drop. At that point, you're going to need to buy food. The only type of food that any class can create is a can o' beans. So in order to create a can o' beans, you must go to your shop menu. Go to main menu, hit shop menu. This brings up a list of everything for sale. Each item has a required class for creation. Say, for example, this gun right here, you have to be an engineer to make it. Or this frag grenade right here, you have to be a scientist to make it. We're going to go to food and drink. Again, the only food that anybody can make is a can o' beans. So we're just going to go ahead and click on can o' beans. It says creating, and then it gets done. Go ahead and eat, and it restores 15 hunger points. Okay, you can make more food, such as all of these items here, by changing your class. So we're going to go ahead and change to cultivator. Now I'm able to make all types of food. Let's say, for example, a cup of coffee. Or, well, cooked beans, or a head crab roast. So we're going to go ahead and make some well-cooked beans. There we go. We have full hunger. So now that I've taught you about gathering resources and using the menus, we're going to discuss ownership. Let's say that you want to take ownership of this building right here. In order to do that, you would need to press F12 on the door so you could own it. Yes, it takes a screenshot, but that's the ownership key. And you have to press it if you want to own anything. So we're going to walk up to the door, and you may notice that the owner changes when I press F12. I now own this door, but it's not saying what I do for some reason. Okay, now this works on any prop, so I could just spawn a block right here, and I could press F12 on it, and then I am now its permanent owner. If I leave the game, I lose my ownership to it. There we go, now it shows that I own the door. Now that you own a door, you can lock it or unlock it with the keys tool. Keys. You just click on them. With the right click, it locks the door. Left click, it unlocks the door. So I'm going to go ahead and leave my door locked for now. If you would like to remove ownership to an object and maybe trade it to somebody else, you just press F12 on the same object again, and it'll say, you have released ownership of this. So I no longer own this block. Next, I'm going to discuss items of your own. If you own a car, we're going to go ahead and spawn my car, for example. See, I own this car. That means nobody else can take it from me. The moment I leave the server, that's the moment my car disappears. I can even press tab, and I can click get all cars, and that picks up all of my cars, no matter where they are in the wasteland. Say if I put my Jeep all the way down the road, I could press get all cars, and then I'd have it right back in my inventory. Speaking of which, let's go to my inventory, and there it is. This works on every item that you have in your inventory. Works for miners, it works for turrets, it works for worms, it works for anything that you have in your inventory. Basically, nobody can steal your stuff unless you unown it. The next thing we're going to talk about is experience and skills. In order to better your skills, you will need to use all of your experience points. As you can see below my health, I have 474 experience. To access the skills menu so I can spend my experience, I just go to tab and click skills menu. Then it brings up a list of my current skills. So I'm going to go ahead and upgrade my backpacking. That costs 50. And next I'm going to go ahead and upgrade my scavenging. I think next I'm going to go ahead and upgrade my salvaging. Next I'll upgrade my athletics. And that's it. You get experience for killing zombies or monsters. Usually it's about 1 experience per zombie. So whenever you get enough experience, you just go to the skills menu, look how much you need, and then you can upgrade it. The next thing we're going to cover is communities. As you can see, I'm currently a member of Z Company. Z Company is mercenaries, and it's just one of the many communities within the server. So let's go ahead and click on community menu. You will bring up either the community that you're in or the community that you're own. As you can see, I already own this community, so I'm looking at every one of my members. I have the option to promote, demote, or remove members. In order to invite members, you just have to have another player in the room, and they don't have a community already. You can just click invite, and it invites them to their community. There are things that you can do with your community. You can have a community locker. I'm going to go ahead and spawn that now. Place locker. It'll say you have placed a community locker, and it will take 10 seconds to become active. Once it's active, you can open it. And to the left is the locker inventory. We have a lot of stuff in there. And to the right is the player inventory. To the far right, you can choose the option to repair your locker, or remove your locker, or exit. Now, the reason it has the option to repair your locker is because if somebody comes in here and they're not in your clan, they can break into your locker and they can raid you. They can steal everything you have. So make sure that you always keep a close eye on your community equipment or your stockpile. So next I'm going to spawn the stockpile. Community menu, place stockpile. It will say you have placed a community stockpile. It will take 10 seconds to become active. Once it's active, you may interact with it. The stockpile has materials stored inside, unlike the locker that has items stored inside. You can store your materials, or you can take your materials. You can repair the stockpile if somebody's broken into it, or you can remove the stockpile. I'm going to click remove the stockpile because I don't want anybody getting into it. The stockpile and the locker take 1 minute to break down, and they still can be interacted with in that time. So even if you click to remove and they're still breaking down, somebody can break into it and still raid all of your stuff. So it's best if you just keep an eye on all of your stuff at all times. So we're just going to wait for these to disappear, and once they do, we're going to go ahead and leave, because then it'll be safe. And stockpile's gone. And the equipment's gone. Okay. The next thing I'm going to talk about is endurance. Endurance is how much you can last before you have to sleep. In order to go to sleep, you press tab and you click on the sleep button, and then you fall asleep. If you don't feel like waiting until the whole cycle is complete, as you can see my endurance is gathering, if you don't want to wait for it to gather completely, you can click the wake button and it wakes you up. You can always go into your menu and you can salvage some of your items. Although salvaging is not the best option because you only get half of what your item is worth. So let's say that I am going to salvage one of my cars. To buy a car, it costs approximately 300 scrap, 150 small parts, and 50 chemicals. If I salvaged one of my cars, I would only receive 150 scrap, or exactly half of what the item is worth. So salvaging is not your best option, although if it's absolutely necessary, you can go ahead and salvage it. Well, I thank you for looking at this tutorial and for taking interest in Postnukerp roleplay. We hope to see you on our server very soon, and thanks for stopping by.